Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. I got a great guest for you. His name is Mr. Michael Litt. Michael is the CEO and co-founder of a company called Vidyard, and we're going to talk about video as a medium of communication and how it improves engagement, how it improves show rates, how it improves pretty much your whole sales process when you look at it. We all know that if we work the metrics from point A to point B, because I'm constantly harping on this for you, right? Like if you can get more appointments through and they're quality appointments, you're going to close more. And it's just about moving the metrics through your customer journey. So we're going to talk about how to use video and what's going on with video in the future of what's going on with video and all of that stuff, right? And making sure that your follow-up is in process. So speaking of follow-up, if you're interested in that process, we are doing a masterclass specifically on that. How do you create it? How do you make it personalized, meaningful, and relevant? If you want to come to that masterclass, it is called www.ceosalesstrategies.com/stop the leak. So it's ceosalesstrategies.com/stop the leak. Feel free to come to our next masterclass training, which we do once a month. Let's go speak with Michael right now, and let's show you how to add video into your prospecting and full communication and how it increases your sales. Here we go. Hey, Michael, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Thanks so much for being here today.
It is a pleasure to be here, Doug. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Why don't you tell everybody what you do, and let's set the frame for this call.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Michael Litt. I am the co-founder and CEO of a business called Vidyard. I'm an engineer, first and foremost. I graduated from the University of Waterloo. I have a degree in systems design engineering. I started building the technology that we serve our customers with, and pretty soon realized somebody had to sell it. So I am the business's first sales rep, first BDR, first account executive, first account manager, first sales manager, so on and so forth. And what we do is we help sales teams use video to close more deals, better engage with their prospects. And we're building some pretty interesting stuff with AI that we can talk about as well.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. Let's talk about using video because I think it's an underutilized resource for sales, for anyone selling, really, when it comes down to it. So why is video, a better medium, if you will, than let's say another medium that people are using, email, text, whatever, or is it not? Is it equal to,
Yeah, great question. Awesome starting place. Video is a pattern disrupt first and foremost. And that's what I think a lot of us are looking for in the sales process, whether that's prospecting or managing a relationship with an existing account. Everybody's using text, everybody's using LLMs to generate text. The sales processes have become, largely automated more and more. Marketing emails have been automated for, many, many years since the late 90s, and open rates have declined dramatically. Our inboxes are just absolute messes. And so video works because you see someone's face in your inbox. We have this part of our brain called the fusiform face area that's designed to respond to a human face, which is why, Zoom calls are better than phone calls, so on and so forth. And so it really works because of that pattern disrupt. An interesting anecdote or analogy on why we built the video messaging product was because very early on in the journey, we were a video hosting product first and foremost. One of our BDRs was trying to boost his response rates. And so he started sending videos in emails. And the way he was doing that was he was sitting down at his computer on his Mac, using QuickTime to record a video, taking a screenshot of the thumbnail, dropping that into the email, and then hyperlinking that screenshot to a video, which is hosted by our system, and then sending that to the prospect, and then watching the view counter. And when that view counter went from 0 to 1, he knew they watched it and he followed up. And his response rates were dramatically better than everybody else on the team. So we said, let's build that product. And what we realized was there's a generational shift happening in sellers and buyers. The next generation was raised on asynchronous video, thanks to Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp. All these tools are built around video first and foremost, and you can see the increase in video consumption in these products over time. And so consumers are trained on video, but businesses aren't necessarily using it. And so it works really well for this next generation of both buyers and sellers. We built that technology. The rest is history. So I could talk a lot about why video works, but we'll pause there.
Well, I think it's important. Hey, let's pattern interrupt, right? So somebody sees a visual, and it's different than an email. Like you'll see it in your email, but you see a visual, so automatically we're going to make a judgment call as a human being, right? We're looking at that. No different than if somebody walked into the office, you kind of sum them up right then and there. How are they dressed? How do they walk through the door? Is she pretty? Is she not pretty? Right? Is he, handsome? Is he not handsome? Right? I mean, we do this stuff just naturally as a human being.
Yeah.
So if all text looks the same, how are we going to differentiate it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. We almost say, like, for starters, video prospecting, right? Three P's video prospecting. Number one is personalization. So when they open that email and they see a face in the bottom corner on their LinkedIn profile, all of a sudden you've triggered this response of, why are they on my LinkedIn profile? Oh, there's a human there. My name's on the screen. There's some kind of personalized component that drives curiosity.
mm-hmm.
Then when they click play, because the play button's the most compelling call to action on the web, we're all trained to be entertained by video, they get the problem, right? What's the problem that you're going to solve? And then you get an opportunity to prompt them because they've clicked play. So 3Ps: personalization, problem-led, and prompting. And as we've moved to being more and more remote by default, that video in the inbox is the replacement for the site visit. It's the virtual site visit, right? Back in the day, we used to go walk the halls of our clients. We used to show up on their doorstep. We used to go have sales meetings, golf dinners, steak dinners, golf games, all that type of stuff. That doesn't exist anymore because it's really expensive to do. People are buying more virtually. So that video is the virtual site visit that you get to do. So follow the 3Ps, get it in front of your clients, build that relationship with them asynchronously on their time. These are things that you just can't do with text.
And so we just sending them via LinkedIn or email, or how are we sending these things?
Yeah, so all formats. I mean, I think the best sellers today are using multiple methods to engage with their clients. They're using email first and foremost. That's obviously very important. It's where a lot of business gets done. They're using LinkedIn messaging, right? LinkedIn, not everybody uses it, but it's a very different interface when you're on LinkedIn. You're looking at people's career choices, you're learning, you're being educated. There's a nice pattern disrupt there in the messaging capabilities. You can embed a video directly into a LinkedIn message. Another thing that a lot of great sales reps doing are they're texting, right? And when they're texting, they're sending, hey, how's it going? They're sending quick updates, but they're also able to send voice and video messages, which again is more native to the experience that people are having in their consumer lives. So video can go anywhere. And the way our product works is it's just a link. And now that link, if you get it delivered to you on an iPhone and iMessages, it unfurls and you can watch the video right in the frame. If it's an email or LinkedIn messages, it can take those users to what we call a branded sharing page, which is now a portal to the rest of your website.
Mm-hmm.
You can have your header, your footer, you can have customer case studies. It can be fully customized so that you're now bringing the customer into your web experience so that they can learn more, they can click through. And so video is just another way of driving deeper engagement with your web presence in those formats.
So are people, when they see let's say they see my smiling, handsome face on whatever medium I'm sending it on, how many of them look at that and they go, spam? This safe? You know what I mean? Because we've all got those messages on, let's say, Facebook or Instagram or whatever, which is, you know, um, the pretty girl, let's say, that is like, hi, you know what I mean? And you're like, not to click on those type of things because that's just, some type of bait to bring you through, right? So how does one know? Well, firstly, the question is, do people look at it that way with video messages like that? And how does one know that it's safe or not safe at that point?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. And, I would say there are always suspicious buyers out there, first and foremost, right? And that's why you don't get a 100% response rate to any cold outreach.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is, we've been very careful with how we serve video and what types of videos we serve. And so our links do not get blocked in any firewalls. That's incredibly important. That's not true for all video platforms. And so there is no issue opening or unfurling one of those links or having that experience. The data speaks for itself, though. Video works. Companies report far better response rates and engagement rates when video is used in the sales cycle. Now, most of our customers are B2B, right? We're not talking business to consumer. And so often they're getting outreach from a brand, or they're getting outreach because they went to an event, they were on a website, they downloaded a white paper, they watched a video, which is another capability that we power. And so they've already got some familiarity with where that message is coming from. And the
Right.
reality is only going to engage with it if it's relevant to them, which is why, that personalization, that prompting, that problem statement is so important. And I believe sales is not about convincing somebody to do something they don't want to do. It's about solving a problem first and foremost. And a video gives you the opportunity to show versus just tell. And so there's a ton of data that suggests it works. I mean, personalized video emails average a 4 to 5x higher click-through rate than generic text.
Yeah, yeah, without
So
question.
yeah, the stuff ultimately works. And we are releasing a report in June. We talked to 650 different go-to-market leaders who are all very, very excited about using video. And the reality is, it's not just about prospecting. Video really works in the context of continuously building relationships. So let's say somebody comes to your website for your product, insurance product, whatever it is, and says, "Hey, I'd like to learn more." Before that meeting, right, which maybe gets booked a week or two in advance,
Yeah.
you send a video to the individual you're meeting with as a sales rep and says, "Hey, I'm looking forward to meeting you and talking about these 5 things," right? Now, all of a sudden, they know what you look like. They know what to expect on the meeting. You've done them a favor. You've given that to them on their terms, and they are way more likely to show up. We have a 70% um, uh, decrease in no-show rates at Vidyard because we use video and we mandate video in the process of sending prospects videos before those meetings happen. And again, that's because they're learning about the meeting, they're seeing the individual, they're building that relationship asynchronously before they get there, and they feel like they owe that person something before they get there. So it's not just a cold outbound prospecting tool. It's used to deepen the relationship across the entirety of the sales funnel.
Makes total sense because we're creating a level of trust because it's there's no difference. So I used to do a lot of training on presentation, right? So people with sales teams, especially, they're like, "Well, we'll just use the phone." It's like, get on video, right? And why?
Yeah.
Because you can see my facial reactions right now. You can see my expressions. So if I like smile or wince or whatever, but there's this connection more so with video. It's not as good in most cases as face to face, right? We can't hi Michael, we're trying to shake, right? I mean, it's not gonna work as well, but it is the next level of bonding with another human being because we still get to see the interactions and the reactions from people. So a pre-video going out says, "Hey, I'm a real person, and here's the agenda or the issues that we're." So it's a great building of rapport in general, right? Similarity, trust, ability, positioning of expertise. So it doesn't surprise me that you're going to get a much higher show rate out of something like this. And
Yeah,
folks, those
sales.
of you who are listening to him talk about these rates, what I want you to please understand is I want you to look at what your show up ratio is today on your appointments, because you know I'm a big metrics guy, and this is how we do it here. Look at your engagements. If they're too low, I want you to try video engagement. You can reach out to Michael. And by the way, Michael, how do they get a hold of you, or how do they get a hold of the company?
Yeah, LinkedIn, website's vidyard.com, but you can find me, Michael Litt, on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from your listeners and point them in the right direction.
Yeah, and so check it out. If your show rates are low, I just looked at somebody's show rates and they were lower than 50%. And I was like, good what? Like, so if you can close that gap, remember, with qualified prospects coming through, now your appointment ratio is higher, so your other ratios should be higher just because we've been able to move the needle on that metric.
Yep.
So, Michael, you were going to say something, and I sort of.
No. I love that. I mean, what we've always said, Doug, is like video is the next best thing to being there in person. To your point, but it's a lot cheaper than being there in person. I mean, getting on a plane or, taking time in your day, commuting, going to see, like that is incredibly time consuming and expensive, especially if you have to drive a higher volume of transactions. So video, next best thing to being there in person, is really, really effective. And something that I know you've said in the past is this premise of using technology without losing humanity.
Mm,
Video really, really unlocks that. And
yeah.
so, one of the things we've been thinking about is, okay, video works, but it's pretty expensive in that, you still got to take time on your day. You got to sit down. It's a different muscle for a lot of people in the process. And so what we've been working on is where there's are moments where a video touch point works really well, how do we automate the creation and send of that video for the sales rep so that the customer gets that very personal interaction from the sales rep, sees what they look like, wants to go meet with them, but the sales rep doesn't have to do that work so that they can spend that time in those in-person meetings closing the higher value accounts.
Mhm, mhm.
That's the way the world is going with respect to automation and all these other things. And video is doesn't stand alone in that context.
No, it's the automation process can be multimodality at that point, video being one of those critical components. But what I love about video, again, is we're seeing another human being, right? If you get an automated text or an automated email, it's like, oh, okay, that's quick. But if we get a long, elongated email, like it's, I don't know, 5,000 character email, we just scan it anyways and we miss the meaning of the process. And what can be said in a 5,000 word email can be said in a video in less than 30 seconds, right? So
Got it.
the point being is, if you're looking for higher engagement rates, and this is one of the reasons why I was excited to bring you on here, because I am aware of the video, because when video conferencing was coming out originally, not video, but video conferencing, it was super expensive, right? It was nothing to get, $50,000 into creating a video conferencing room.
Yeah.
And I used to tell people, it's like, look, you're going to get higher engagement off video than you will an audio conferencing room, because people, when we're on video, we pay attention more. We just do. It's not like if somebody's on an audio conference, they're multitasking, they're doing this, they're doing that. But when you have like what we're doing here, we're going to pay attention to one another, because all of a sudden, if I start checking my phone and you're going to see it, like it's like, Doug, what are you doing? Right. So with a video message, it still emulates that process. And that's what I want people to catch out of this. That the other thing about video is we are able to do things on video that we can't do in another medium. Like I can literally hold up a piece of paper with a message on it and say, hey, Michael, you know what I mean? I want you to, I just got this card from my whatever, right? And I can do those type of things where I can't do that on video. I mean, on a different medium than that. All of these visual cues are creating sensory awareness, which is bringing us into the video. So it wouldn't surprise me that the engagement would be much higher just of the fact that we could do these things. And I've done this stuff with video, Michael. I would hold up and I would say, hey, Michael, what's the sound of this? Right? Give me a call back and I'll tell you. Right? Just stuff like that. Because you can see me shaking something in my hand when I'm doing this, right? You don't know what it is. By the way, do you know what this is, Michael?
I can't see it. I think your virtual background is
yeah, blipping it out. So if I'm just like doing this, right? You can hear the sound, right? But it creates curiosity in the process, right? So,
yeah.
By the way, it's
there's all sorts of things. Yeah, I mean,
just a bunch of thumbtacks in a little plastic thing, but you just don't know what it is. So you can do things in video that you can't do in other mediums. And if you get creative around it, it's even more monumental, if you will. And people will actually say, man, I got this video from Michael. Watch this with me, really. You know what I mean? Like, this is so interesting, or if it's entertaining or whatever it can be. And that in itself creates more engagement in the process. That's what I found. So you had mentioned AI. What are you guys doing with, let's take the next generation of video where it's going. So let's talk about AI.
Yeah. So first of all, maybe just before we touch on AI, something you said really resonates, metrics, being metrics driven. One of the powerful things about what we do with companies is we give them the data so that they can track who's watching videos for how long, so that you can then take those learnings back into improving those cycles. And so, the tactics that work, things like holding up a piece of paper with their name written on it, shaking the tax, showing them the product in action, show, don't tell, sending a video when you're sitting on their LinkedIn profile as a screen share, all that stuff, you can test and experiment and see how it's actually impacting deal cycles directly in CRM. So incredibly important. From those insights, though, we realize, okay, video works. The best sales reps in the organizations that we work with, we've got about 5,000 customers. The best sales reps are the ones that use video the most. CEO of one of our large financial services clients, they've got about 250 wholesalers that sell, packages of index funds and mutual funds to wealth advisors. He was like, the problem is I just can't get my entire team to use video. Even though the best performing ones are using it, I can't get them all to use it. How do we solve that problem? And so we started playing around with these new models. So LLMs for script generation, stable diffusion models for video creation. And we've been playing around with this tech for roughly 3 years. And we said, okay, what if we could automate 80% of the video that sales reps send that impact the sales cycle to give them more time to actually produce the 20% of really high value video content or those customer meetings they wanted to have. And so we started playing with this idea of getting a 90-second video from a sales rep and turning that into a model that they could basically send a text input to so they could create a video on their behalf. And this organization, this large financial services organization, said, and when we launch a new product, we want every one of our wholesalers to say the same message, but it's got to be compliant. Because we don't want them selling snake oil or financial products that are going to promise 100% IRR, and then they're going to have to go stand in front of the SEC and terminate that person or breach their compliance or governance protocol. So we built that product. And we launched it. We call it the Video Sales Agent. We launched it on February 6th. And it's incredible. I mean, we use it. So we've always had a low no-show rate because we ask our reps to send videos before meetings. But our reps have full calendars, and it's very difficult for them to send a video before every single meeting. They've just got a lot on their plate. And so we look at this and say, okay, how can we automate more of our reps' day so that the majority of their time is spent building relationships? That's the promise of AI. So how could we automate 80% of the videos that they're producing? That's what the video sales agent does. So customer comes to the website, raises their hand and says, hey, I want to talk to a sales rep about Vidyard. In the back end, the video sales agent identifies who the appropriate sales rep is for that account. And then once that individual has booked a meeting, a day before that meeting happens, a video gets automatically generated from that sales rep that says, hey, Doug, I'm really excited to talk to you about product XYZ. On the call, I'm going to ask you about why you contacted Vidyard, and I'll show you these couple aspects of the product. And that dropped our no-show rate by a further 30%, only because now every single one of our sales reps was sending a video before every single prospect call. That's just one use case for the video sales agent. So we took everything we learned about why video works, and we've supported the automation of that so that it automatically happens between the customer and the seller. And it's a very powerful tool.
It's a wonderful, I mean, I'm a big proponent of engagement and pre-meeting follow-up, post-meeting follow-up, and lifetime engagement with follow-up, right? So it's because follow-up is a revenue growth strategy. If it's used right, it's not just like, I got to follow up, right? So what I'm hearing you do is some of these components of that process, which is very, very powerful.
Yeah, and I just say, like, on the follow-up front, I was at a conference and I got a bunch of business cards from the conference, and I wanted to do follow-ups, but I'm on a plane. I want to send a video. It's really difficult to send a video from a plane. There's background noise, you're in the seat. It just doesn't work. But I can use my avatar, right? My avatar is, a version of me on my best day, and I can basically just write, a quick text script, hey, it was great meeting you. We talked about XYZ. I'd love to book a meeting next week. Here's my Calendly link. Generate, send. And I can do that on the plane. So when I get home, I get to spend time with my family. I don't have to go up to my office and record a bunch of videos. It's super powerful.
Which we both know when people get off that plane, they're not going to do it anyways, right? If they don't get it done quickly. So in fact, I've been measuring this from events or going to conferences or trade shows or networking meetings. And it's almost all the time ranges between 13 and 15% of people will actually do it. So the approximately 85%. I've been doing this over like 7-8 years, measuring these metrics. So super powerful.
You've met people, they told you, what they wanted. You had this like awesome meeting with them on the floor.
Yeah.
And you just don't follow up. These are like the highest qualified leads you could possibly have. So can we automate that process? So now when we go to a show as Vidyard, everybody who comes by our booth and talks to us gets a follow-up from the person that they interacted with. It's automatically generated.
Right.
So we make sure 100% of them, and they see the person that they met with, right? They met hundreds of people at the show, right? But they remember faces, they don't remember names, they don't remember companies. Now that person that they talked to for 20 minutes at the booth is in their inbox. They're much more likely to respond, right? That's the powerful thing.
Yeah, and considering that more than half the people they talk to at that particular event will never follow up with them one time anyways. So, we're improving our odds of engagement, I mean, you're doing the reach out, you're getting a connection, you're much more likely to get a higher response rate from that process just because it's video. And additionally, you're sending it when other people aren't. So, the statistics that I've seen show that the first touch, usually it's 50% chance that they'll do business with the first touch versus anyone else who comes in after. So speed really matters when it comes down to this. So, So Michael, let's say people want to check it out a little deeper. They like, oh, I don't want to contact Michael directly, but I do want to check it out on the website, or I do want to check it out here or wherever. Where do they go?
Yeah, vidyard.com, vidyard.com. And on the website, you'll see our suite of products. We've got a video hosting technology. We've got a video messaging product. It's a Chrome extension. It's a mobile app. What we're talking about right now is what we call the video sales agent. It's part of our AI avatars product, which automate video creation. So check it out. It's all there. We've got case studies, we've got product demos, and if you'd like a deeper dive or like to see how it works, you can actually input your data and you'll get an avatar in response. But if you're interested in a product demo, you'll get the pre-meeting video from the AE that you're assigned with. So you'll get that full experience and how we've automated it firsthand.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being so much here today on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Thanks for bringing your A game and making people go, I think I need to look at this. And by the way, if you're doing, don't think, just go. And if you're not doing, you're going to get left in the dust. So you might as well, jump on now because technology like this will only continue to increase. And it's, I would say, I don't even know about the availability, but certainly in the process of the ever-changing sales landscape of what's going on. So again, Michael, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it.
Okay, that was pretty cool, huh? Like, think about this. You can get higher engagement through the use of a medium using video, which we're talking about. And why would you want to do that? Well, because video is a higher bonding tool. And again, with any follow-up methodology that you want to use or any communication methodology that you want to use, of course, anything that has human-to-human connection where they can see it, it engages more of the senses. So just naturally, as human beings, we're going to trust it more on a video than we would just say on an audio or, on a written component of it, through something where we don't know. Now, we might believe a written something through a book, right? Or something published with some other brand, like, hey, this came from, American Express or something like that, and you might value American Express. But when we're doing, especially communication with people we don't know, the more senses we can involve, the higher the connection rate's going to be. And it's going to be a lot easier to build rapport for you. So check it out. Start using video, test it for yourself, and you will see increased engagement rates, response rates, appointment rates. And even if you can, like if you can't meet face-to-face, if you can do video, communication over audio communication, it is a better medium every single time, because again, you can see people's faces, you can see their reactions, and we're human beings. This is, remember, technology doesn't replace in full that which we have been doing for thousands of years, right? Technology can only enhance that and allow us to bring us closer where we can, close geographic borders, in the context of being able to communicate, with somebody across the world that we couldn't do before. Remember years and years and years ago, the phone came about. Prior to that, it was really, you could send a wire or something written, right? So now we've just evolved into this new place. All right. Speaking of evolving into this new place, if you're interested in personalized, automated, and meaningful follow-up, we have a masterclass that we're running once a month. We're going to do this standardized. It's called, we call it Stop the Leak, because when you stop the leak on the follow-up process, you can easily increase your revenues in your company by 5 to 20%, right? This is what we're seeing across the board. If you're interested in knowing more and you want to attend a masterclass on that, where we go through this, go to ceosalesstrategies.com/stop the leak. Again, ceosalesstrategies.com/stop the leak. All right. As I always say, go out and sell something today. Make someone happy. Play win-win-win, right? Really focus on helping them win. You win too. Remember, people buy. They solve a problem. They want to gain an opportunity, or they want a goal that they want to achieve. You can help them do that. You win because you get paid. They win because they get what they want. And other people win because their day in life is so much happier. They're willing to help other people. All right. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast saying, to your success.